So let's review. We talked about MySlabs addressing the issue, refunding the customer. So huge kudos to MySlabs for handling that. We talked about CGC's bonehead error in labeling facsimiles as first prints. We talked about Marvel having to take some responsibility and maybe changing a few things here and there and putting facsimile on the barcode. Now we're going to talk about the seller. We're Comic Toby, what's going on? We're going to talk about the seller. And in order to do this, I am going to bring up a comment that was left by, I don't know who they're an individual that works for MySlabs. I don't know who they are with the company, so I can't make any assumptions on who they are with the company, but they saw the video, they commented, they addressed the situation, and we're going to find this comment and we're going at what my response was, because I think my response is very, very important to, it's important to not only this specific situation, but it is 100% important to holding these people that think that they can scam and commit fraud accountable. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I really don't think that people that do this, that purposefully do this, I don't think they are aware of the severity of the legalities involved. This could be, now I'm not going to sit here and say it's so black and white, and that this individual did commit fraud, and that if it was brought to a court of law, that they would be convicted. I can't say that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I don't have all the evidence, but I will say there is a huge possibility that it could come to that. So we're going to, I'm going to bring this up on screen. Awesome, Marshall. Thank you so much. Breaking down that sandwich. Get to the meat. Oh, so in this story, Chris, thank you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, truly, and for being here and for all of your support. All right, we're going to remove this. And we're going to bring up we're going to bring up this comment. Bear with me, folks. Just give me a minute. We are going to bring up YouTube comment. Here we go. All right, everyone. You should be able to see on your screen. And I hope you guys can read that. It's the green, the big M from Matthew here. He's basically stating, again, another statement from MySlabs, just stating how they handled it. Let me read to you what he said, though, and then I'm going to read to you my response, okay? The issue has been addressed. We reached out to both buyer and seller to alert them of the situation, and the seller was extremely responsive and handled the situation promptly. Now, let me just play devil's advocate here. If you willfully committed fraud and you got caught, wouldn't you respond? Wouldn't you be responsive? And wouldn't you be pushed to handle the situation promptly? Absolutely, because, you got caught. But let me go on with what he said. The seller has also agreed to send the books in question back to CGC to be correctly reslabbed. That's what he's stating. We don't know if he'll ever do that or if that'll ever happen. I cannot say for sure if he knew anything was off, but judging by his responsive, I'd say it's unlikely. This is where I disagree with this individual that's representing MySlabs. There is absolutely no way that you can judge his responses and say that it's likely that he wasn't knowingly committing fraud. Why? Because of what I just said. Anybody that commits a crime and gets caught is gonna, oh, deer in headlights, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. I didn't know, right? We cannot so easily be naive. But let me continue. We combed the archive and found another in a lesser grade he had sold. And we reached out to the buyer as well as the seller and handled the situation immediately also. That's the 2 books that the same seller sold. The book should already be en route back to the seller. So, here is my response, folks. I'm going to read the response and then I'm going to give a little more context to it. Let me get some water. I apologize. I'm a little parched because I was live with Swaggle Haas and Automatic Comics, Como Comics, Newbie, Brian McClay on Swaggle Haas' channel last night for over 3.5 hours. Here's my response. Thank you, Matthew. I'm going to assume you work for My Slabs. I appreciate you making a public comment regarding this. I also have statements from My Slabs regarding this issue that I will be updating my viewers with on tonight's live stream, which I have done. I think for My Slabs, there is a learning opportunity here to how to avoid these situations or catch these situations before a transaction even occurs. There is also a learning opportunity for CGC because of their errors, and also for Marvel, and I already talked about that with you all here. I am glad that the seller is seemingly being cooperative, but if I was an executive with My Slabs, and this is just my opinion, I would dig deeper. From the information that I have, I believe this seller knew 100% that these books were facsimiles. I believe he might have received them back from CGC, saw that CGC made errors on the labels, and then he said, oh, look, I'm going to take advantage of this situation. But how would I prove this? In order to prove this, I would reach out to CGC, and when I would ask them to pull up the order information for these barcodes, and I would find out who submitted these books in the first place. If the My Slab seller was indeed the same individual that submitted the books to CGC, that's a huge red flag. I'm sure CGC even has the order form on file, which would note if they were submitted as facsimiles or not. And for anybody that's ever submitted books to CGC, when you enter each book, you enter what it is. Uncanny X-Men 124, publishing date, August 1979, grade or value estimated, all that. So did this individual that sent these books to CGC, did they mark them as facsimiles? Did they mark them as first prints? Context matters, but let me continue on here. If this information could be proven, I would ban the seller from my platform. If I was the buyer, I would think about pressing charges because what the seller did was a federal crime. And sometimes it takes a village to hold these types of people accountable for the sake of the hobby. So, it is my hopes. It is my hopes that My Slabs does not just refund the seller and forget about this. or excuse me, refund the buyer and forget about this. I believe it is MySlab's responsibility to vet the hell out of this seller. Contact CGC. Get to the bottom of this. If this seller sent these books to CGC, he knew what he was doing. He knew damn well what he was doing. Because if he sent him to CGC, 99% chance he's the one that bought them raw, off the shelves. He knew what he had. He sent them into CGC to get slabbed, and he did either one of two things. One, he provided false information on the CGC submission form, on the order form, and said, let's see if CGC doesn't catch this. Or he entered them properly and still want, 9.8 of the Facsimile sells for $75, $80. So that's still a quick flip for money in your pocket. He either purposely tried to dupe CGC and mark that order form stating that they were first prints, or he sent him in his facsimiles. CGC sent him back with the errors, and he was like, this is an opportunity. Put them up on MySlabs, knowing that MySlabs is a decently trusted and reliable marketplace to take advantage of some sellers. Now you wonder what's going on. Oh, look at that. Did you send a message to the seller? Or because I don't think you can, right? You mean you contacted MySlabs themselves? And that's another problem. I don't want to create hearsay, but if they were aware of this before the transaction happened, something should have happened beforehand. Satori, it's hard for CGC to mess up if it was entered correctly on the CGC order form. I mean, I would agree with you. I was giving them out yesterday that they didn't mess up, but they did. It's easy to say it's hard for them to mess up, but CGC has done some of the most things, like put a comic book upside down in a case and let it get out of quality control. So I don't know. Bearded One, what's going on? I can't tell you if it's easy, but this is what I know. Or what I'm going to hypothesize again, and I'll say my piece and I'll let you guys jump in too, and I want to get your guys' to this, but I have a real hard, okay, look at this. How long has the facsimile been out? Only a few months. So it's only been a few months. Beginning of the year, late last year. It's hard to believe that this seller bought these books slab and then tried to flip them slab. Unless he bought them as facsimiles already slab and tried to sell them as first prints. But again, you got to use your brain on this, guys. It's not, you put the pieces together. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quack like a duck, it's most likely a duck. I am extremely confident, although I cannot confirm, but I am extremely confident that this seller is the individual that purchased these books brand new, that sent them to CGC to get graded, that then put them up on MySlabs for sale. I believe that firmly and confidently. And because of that, I have almost no doubt, even though I cannot confirm, I have extremely very little doubt that there was any possible way that this seller did not know what they were doing. There are too many people putting these books up even raw on Facebook or Facebook Marketplace or eBay and purposefully not stating in these books selling for hundreds of dollars. I believe that this seller knew what they were doing, and if we had the tad little bit of information from CGC, it would confirm it. Now, if it can be confirmed, this seller committed fraud, and if the books were sold and shipped to another state, the seller committed wire fraud. And I don't trust Google but let's do a little Google right now just to get an idea. What is the punishment for wire fraud?
According to Schaus Law Group, wire fraud is punishable with up to 20 years in federal prison, a fine, or both.
Up to 20 years in prison. Now, I know it's just a couple comic books, but you got to understand the value of the books is already over a felony value in probably every state. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why I say, thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it. This is why I say, do these people really understand the repercussions for doing stuff like this? Right, Mark, exactly. Do these people really understand how serious this stuff is? And you want to know why? One reason why I don't think they do is because we aren't educated. So, Ninth Wonder, you bring up a good point, deniable plausibility and all this stuff, but here's what I have to say to that. Here's what I have to say to that. Even if that was the case, there could be civil charges. There could be civil damages that are so much easier or easily pushed through a lot when a criminal court doesn't want to take the time. But regardless of that, I would argue a couple things. One, wait until they get a good lawyer. Like, put me on the case. Put me on the case and see if a judge throws it out. Because I will bring it to as many courts and as many judges as I could. And I get cocky. I do get a little cocky when talking about this stuff, guys, and I apologize, but that's why I say when I did debate in college, I never lost one case. I never lost one argument. I would do it pro bono. Hell yeah. Hell yes. That's what I'm talking about. So, but we have, the thing is, and that's why I said, I can't sit here and confirm, but regardless, what we can confirm or not, regardless if this would, how far this would get into a courtroom, we have to at least understand that they ride the fine line of the possibility of being convicted on federal charges. And I think the reason why nobody talks about it is because normal people don't know. We do not understand these type of laws. We don't understand our rights. We don't understand the laws. We don't understand the laws that are being broken or are possibly being broken. That's why I was the other week about the counterfeit Hulk 181. People were like, this isn't fraud. He said it was a replica. There's a fine line. But when you're dealing with counterfeits, you're not just dealing with the possibility of fraud. You're dealing with copyright laws, which not only could be federal, but there's state penal codes wherever you are, if you're in California to New York to wherever, that could have extreme repercussions, including jail time and heavy fines. You can get charged with the intent to sell a counterfeit item, even if you didn't know it was counterfeit. You can. People don't know this. Serge, what's going on, sir? So we need to put the fire under the feet or under the asses of these people. We need to put, that's why, I'm all about look, I'm not sitting here trying to paint my slabs as a bad guy in this scenario. They're not, in my opinion, from what I know. But can we hold them accountable to try to evolve to where they can tighten this up? Absolutely. Do I want to hold them accountable to more information? Contact CGC, and if there's enough evidence there that says that this buyer was aware of what they were doing, to ban them? Yes. I think that needs to happen. Absolutely. And I think the more that we talk about this, the more that we shed light onto the darkness of it, the more these people that commit these acts of fraud, the more they're going to second guess themselves. Oh man, this is a good opportunity to try to get over on people and get some quick money in my pocket. Oh man, I don't know. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe I'll go to, maybe a court will throw it out if I get caught. Maybe it won't even get far. Deniable plausibility, all these maybe, but do I want to take that chance? Do I want to take that chance? And right now, they're taking the chance because they can sit there and commit $4,000 worth of fraud and they don't even get a slap on the wrist. The only thing that happens to them is they have to refund the money and they get their comic books back. So now they could go, now that they have their comic books back and they know that my slabs caught it, maybe they'll go on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe their local LCS and catch someone walking in. Hey, you want to buy a UF4 number 1 CGC? They're dangerous still. So it doesn't solve the entire problem. That's why I want my slabs to dive into this more. That's why I'm here talking about it. I saw, after I did the video yesterday, I saw Reggie Collects later that night, and he talked about it. That's why we all need to be talking about this stuff every time, and not, they deserve it. Oh, they were stupid. They didn't recognize the difference between a red Marvel logo and a gray one. They deserve it. Buyer's fault, victim blame. No, stop. Are you scamming? Are you acting like that because it's a deflection, because you don't want people to get hit to the scam game that you want to benefit from? Especially, what is interest here? Where does that align? Come on, man. Hold people accountable.